Excuse me. There we go. Okay, I can look at it in the actual website now. So, let's get going. 8 new Vol skill gems. Vol Cleave, Vol Flicker Strike, Vol Blade Flurry, Vol Venom Gyre, Vol Molten Strike. That sounds like it's going to be fun. Vol Caustic Arrow, Vol Volcanic Fissure. Okay, so I guess I'm playing melee for my league start. And Vol Smite. Introduce the Fracturing Orb. Okay. Fracturing Shards, blah blah blah. We know about that. 15 new unique items, 10 new div cards, 5 of which designed by supporters, and 5 designed by winners of Boss Kill. Added 2 Atlas Memories. The Calandra's Touch unique ring has been added to the core drop pool. Fuck yeah! Exceptional and Grand Eldritch Ichors have received new art to make them more distinguishable. Fuck yes, they were so fucking hard to understand before. Thank God. Continue to incrementally improve the sound, art, effects, and environments. Okay, now let's move to the Atlas Changers. Maven Witness map bosses now have a chance to drop an Awakened gem, inclusive of the Awakened gems that are typically exclusive to Maven herself. The following maps have been added back to the Atlas: Academy, Bazaar, Burial Chambers, fuck yes or Burial Chambers, Caves, Channel, City, Square, Courthouse, Courtyard, Coves, Estuary, Forbidden Woods, Graveyard, Haunted Mansion, Iceberg, Infested Valley, Ivory Temple, Lookout, Mineral Pools, Primordial Blocks, Sepulchre, Shipyard, Spider Lair, Sunken City, Toxic Sewer, and Volcano. Okay. The only one I just absolutely despise out of this list would be Volcano. The following maps have been removed from the Atlas: Arena, Arid Lake, Armory, Barrows, Belfry, Bramble Valley, Cells, Chateau Dig, Excavation, Fungal Hollow, Jungle Valley, Lava Chamber, Marshes, Mud Geyser, Park Pen, Racecourse, Rampart, Stagnation, Summit Vault, Waste Pool, Waterways, and Wharf. A lot of good maps were removed, but we do have to cycle maps. I mean, a lot of good maps left, a lot of good maps coming back. So all in all, that's a pretty decent net positive right there. Map tiers and locations have been shuffled. Yeah, we know about that. Some of the map bosses you are required to defeat to upgrade your Pantheon have changed as a result of these Atlas changes. Crafting recipes that were previously unlocked in maps that have been removed from the Atlas are now found within other maps currently on the Atlas. Some divination cards have also found new homes as a result of these Atlas changes. Bijou can now be found in the Grotto map. Buried Treasure is in Grotto. Gift of Asenath, Gift of the Gimling Queen, those are all in Grotto. The Aesthet is in Carcass. The Bear Woman is in Cemetery. Endurance, Mind Dives, Grotto. Mountain is in the Volcano. The Nurse is in Carcass. The Offering is in Carcass. Okay, so we know that people are going to be wanting Carcass maps this league. So Carcass is probably going to sell a little bit higher than other maps, especially if you can get it to that tier 14 map, because it drops the Nurse. So people are going to want more of the Carcass maps. Alright, the Wolf can be found in Grotto. The Wolverine can be found in Lair. Time Lost Relic can be found in Grotto. Volatile Power can be found in Grotto. Vile Power Divination card has been re-enabled. Ooh, wait. Ooh. The new Path of Exile wiki. PoE.wiki, right? There we go. PoEwiki.net. Okay. Vile Power. I don't remember what that one does. Oh, that's the Doomfletch card. Okay. We get a buffed version of Doomfletch. I'm assuming. So, volatile power can be found in Grotto the map. Akil's Prophecy Divination card has been re-enabled and now rewards a double corrupted unique elegant round shield. Card can now be found in the Temple of Atsual. The Transformation Divination card is re-enabled and now rewards a Tainted Mythic Orb. A Note in the Wind is re-enabled and now rewards Asenath's Mark. Mad King has been re-enabled and now rewards an Ultimatum Aspect. It can now be found in Caldera, Colosseum, Dark Forest, and Reef. So, Notepad. So, maps to look out for. Carcass. Caldera, Colosseum, Dark Forest, Reef. Alright. We've gone ahead and taken that down as a note. Monster mods and Arch Nemesis. Arch Nemesis monster mods added a bunch of stats and stuff to monsters, making them feel overwhelming, and they were really confusing. Monster mods now only do one thing. For example, the Magma Barrier Arch Nemesis mod did a whole fuck ton of stuff. So it put like a Magma Barrier around the monster, caused like volatile oils, and it like converted their physical damage to fire and added extra fire on top, and it gave fire resistance, and it gave like a bunch of physical damage reduction on top of that. Yeah, the new modifier just puts a Magma Barrier around the monster and does nothing else. Problem. Keyworded thematic monster mod names gave an impression of the overall effect of the mod on the monster, but did not explain what they granted, requiring players to memorize them. As a solution, monster mods now say exactly what they do. For example, rather than Incendiary, which broke down into 6 properties, you'd now see monsters with either Ignites or Fire and Ignite resistant instead of Deadeye, which did 5 separate things. You'd now see Applies Random Mark, Extra Crits, or Accurate as separate, unrelated mods. This is just back to the Nemesis system, with a few extra added ice cream cherries on top. Alright, problem. The percentage of Arch Nemesis mods that frequently changed gameplay was extremely high, and the combinations of modifiers that required careful play rose too frequently, making content too complex. Solution: since each mod now only does a singular thing, but monsters don't have more mods than they used to, the percentage of monsters with gameplay-altering effects is now much lower. Interesting and challenging emergent behavioral from overlapping mods. It still happens, but it's just a lot less often. Problem. The way Arch Nemesis rewards were set up meant that many players felt that they couldn't just kill a monster. They had to consider if they wanted Magic Caller in to maximize rewards. As a solution, they are no longer required to do annoying shit to get maximized rewards. I love how they just put the nail on the head. Like, players are no longer required to do annoying shit to get good stuff. In Arch Nemesis, rewards were associated with individual mods. Means that you could tell what kind of rewards you would get in advance just at a glance. In some cases, you were then effectively required to fetch a magic find caller to find what you wanted, and then you'd have to pay them and all this other stuff, and it was like really sketchy. The new reward system is a just random reward on your rare monster, and it's hidden, and it's not tied to a mod, and it's smooth. Alright. So, conclusion. The original motivation for developing Arch Nemesis was that the previous Monster Mod system was very out of date. Many of the mods didn't have any appreciable effect under modern balance, and there wasn't a lot of interesting gameplay possible. Well, you're not wrong there. In our opinion, Arch Nemesis did succeed at a lot of interesting new mechanics and rares, but introduced the problems. It fucks shit up. While creating the new monster mods described, we were careful to retain most of those interesting mechanics that Arch Nemesis introduced, but in a way that does not include a grab bag of the other effects and is diluted by many other simpler mods. The result is a system that is very similar to what mods used to be like, but with much more up-to-date content and balance. Mods are simpler, and they say what they do. While you can certainly still rarely find some scary combinations that really wake you up, it is a lot more rare than it was under Arch Nemesis. We feel that the new system is more modern and interesting than the old Monster Mod Nemesis system was and ever could be. Now, Eldritch Altars. I'm not too hot on these. They are extremely rewarding. I can't deny that, but I'm not too hot or cold on these. They're kind of a grab bag. I don't sit with any one specific crowd on this. I didn't really necessarily enjoy the playstyle of just killing a boss and then going and killing all of the monsters around the map, because that's how you get the best altar rewards. Problem! Eldritch Altars are currently too rewarding, so much so that they create a disincentive for any out-of-map gameplay unless it is comparably rewarding. As a solution, we've slightly nerfed the total rewards and updated them in various ways that we shall outline below. While it's fair to say that you can no longer min-max into rewards in such an extreme way, they should still be quite rewarding. Here are the specifics. We have removed some reward types from the choices available at the altar, such as duplicate gems, influence items, unique stuff, gems, and maps. This means that other reward types will take their place and naturally will be more common. Altars no longer offer a reward choice for basic currency, but instead offer choices for specific currency. For example, instead of seeing altars that say, Map Boss drops 3 basic currency items, you'll now see altars that say, Map Boss drops 3 Foul Orbs. Currency rewards from influence minions no longer drop in stacks larger than 1. Some of the more common but very low value rewards, such as Orbs of Augmentation, Orbs of Transmutation, Blacksmith's Whetstones, Armor Scraps, etc., can no longer be offered as basic currency. It's nice. Similarly, instead of offering choices for Scarabs or Divination cards as a category, they're now much more specific. Rather than simply divination cards, you'll see divination cards that give unique jewelry. The specific currency, Scarab, and divination card rewards will be split so that they are exclusive to one altar type. That means if you're targeting a specific reward type, you'll be able to figure out which influence is best to invest into in order to farm most efficiently. The rewards that remain are currency, Scarabs, divination cards, duplicate currency, unique Scarabs, maps, divination cards, and quantity/rarity. To give you a specific example, if you run maps influenced by the Eater of Worlds, you will see divine orbs from the basic currency reward more than twice as often than usual. On the whole, Scarabs will be offered a lot less than before from altars. However, we don't want them to be too scarce in general. So we're adding rusted scarabs into the core drop pool, and we're adding a vendor recipe to upgrade them using the 3-to-1 ratio up to gilded. We are adding an upgrade button in the fragment stash tab that can upgrade your scarabs as well in this way, similar to the upgrade function of the essence tab. Problem. Players currently have an incentive to skip past all regular map bosses and kill the map boss first. Motivation for doing so is that altars which offer rewards affecting the map boss are very much less desirable. By killing the boss first, you eliminate these options from your map altars, which makes them extremely rewarding. This is one of those cases where the most efficient and rewarding gameplay strategy undermines that expected gameplay loop and encourages players to do things that really just aren't fun. Solution. We are making a few numerical changes to alter rewards so that choices that affect boss drops or influence monster drops are more comparably valuable. Although boss drops rewards will be slightly better on average than Eldritch Minions rewards. It's a problem. Eldritch Influence added a huge amount of extra monsters to the maps. This is one of the main factors that makes it harder for players to justify doing Maven Witness maps or non-map content as their rewards struggle to compete. Solution. The amount of influence packs spawned by the Eldritch Influence maps has been reduced by around a third, but the chance of influence altar spawning has been increased by about a half to somewhat offset this. Previously, Eldritch Influence maps would always spawn exactly 60 packs within a map. They will now spawn somewhere between 20 and 60 packs per map. It's a large enough variance that the difference should be notable. It also encourages more decision making around your altars. For example, if you intuit that it may be a 20-pack map, you might be more inclined to pick more map boss modifiers, as there won't be as many influence monsters on the map to get other rewards from. While we were working on this, we took the opportunity to change that pack spawning behavior from influence so that a given area will only have 3 different types of monster packs. Previously, there were 8 pack types that could be spawned per influence type, and it randomly chose which pack type to spawn. This is a relatively small change that won't have a significant effect during gameplay, but the goal was simply to give some identity to an area and give you a slightly better idea of what to expect during your gameplay. As small of a change as that is, that's very much actually going to be big on the higher end side. Higher end players are going to be noticing that a lot in their maps, and they're definitely going to love the ability to know the attacks that are coming at them. Know, exactly what they're working against. Problem. The Wrath of the Cosmos Keystone encouraged players to... Okay, he literally talked about this like 5 fucking seconds ago. Alright, so... Conclusion. Altar rewards are a bit more sensible now. Though clearer reward types and, by toning down the extreme levels of giftiness, we've worked towards making it so that players don't feel compelled to straight rush map bosses in order to maximize rewards. We've also updated the Wrath of the Cosmos Keystone to be a bit less brutal and a bit less rewarding. The intent wasn't to gut these systems, just slightly reduce their overall potency. They should still be valuable sources of the... Excuse me. They should still be valuable sources of their rewards. Atlas Tree. Currently, the Atlas Tree creates a pressure to only run Pinnacle Boss content when you are spec'd into Pinnacle Boss Atlas passives. And likewise, for maps, only running maps when you are spec'd into map passives. As a solution, we've removed Atlas passives that increase the amount of rewards from limited content such as Shaper, Elder, Searing, Exarch, Eater of Worlds, and Maven. And we've just made that core. Hey! What's poppin', Megami Infinity? How you doing? What's going on? We're reading patch notes for Path of Exile right now. What is poppin'? Thanks for coming over. Thanks for sharing your community with me. I don't think I have a mod in my chat to shout out you, so let me just Oh, you just like quickly read through them. That's fine. Well, I'm reading through them aloud. I'm probably gonna put it. Probably gonna like cut this straight out of the VOD, put it up onto my YouTube channel. Well, I'm gonna cut my reaction to the trailer out of the VOD, put that up first, and then I'm gonna cut my me reading the patch notes out of the VOD, put that up second. 2 days of free content. I'm gonna be honest. Volcanic Fissure, especially because it has the a Evolve version, looks extremely juicy to me, and I can see a million different Volcano Fissure builds in my head right now. I was planning on building a Hexblast Leaf Starter after I read the patch notes, but Volcanic Fissure looks extremely juicy to me. Extremely juicy. I can see Volcanic Fissure doing some fucking work. I'm thinking, I'm toying around in my head with a Volcanic Fissure Slayer, but I know in my heart of hearts that Slayer doesn't really like agreeing with elemental damage. It tends to fight back against investment like that. Um, Aside from that, I think a little bit cheaper, believe it or not, would be Raider. I honestly think that Raider is going to be one of the best ascendancies for it, especially with all the penetration you get for free. I mean, like multi-vol slammers are always nice. I would also want to toy around with the possibility of doing Volcanic Fissure in some sort of battle mage setup. Because if we can convert that fire damage over to Fizz or something, then we can do that fire damage and then cast the new ice skill because that would activate Battle Mage. It would proc Battle Mage, and it would also hit, which would activate Battle Mage again. I'm not entirely sure how it would scale if I was to do something like that. I think it would be kind of stupid. There's a lot of things that I can think of doing with this that could be pretty cool. I know that one of the things that I instantly said as soon as I saw Vol Cleave was Rebuke of the Vol Cleave. That's something that was in, I think, 3.17, maybe 3.16. It's been a fucking while. And that's a Raider bait. It uses 2 Rebuke of Vol swords. And the entire thing is that you can use it to cleave your way through literally everything. And with +2 cleave gaming, it's probably going to be pretty decent. I haven't really touched that in a hot minute. Could be nice. Honestly, because I've seen I'm seeing stuff that's really suggesting that they're planning on actually finally giving us proper melee buffs. Um, I'm fully satisfied knowing that I'm going to be able to play melee this week and not have to like satisfy an investment requirement of like 30 fucking mirrors. I'm not going to be looking into the fucking abyss for 30 hours while I'm trying to get these mirrors. I don't have to worry about it. They're going to be much more powerful on the low end if I'm understanding things correctly. That said, I'm not getting my hopes up too much yet because I haven't gotten to that point of the patch notes. We want to improve on the concept that the Atlas tree allows players to invest into leagues that they enjoy, and have added new clusters to the passive tree for league content that can be blocked through Atlas passive skills. We've also increased the chances for such league content to appear. Existing clusters have also been tweaked with the goal of making them a more attractive option. In addition, we have added a new keystone passive, which causes scarabs used in your map device to provide increased pack size rather than their normal modifiers. That sounds juicy as fuck. Jewels and ailment mitigation. Problem. Jewels have modifiers that provide various forms of ailment avoidance or protection. However, because their current values are moderately low, you often need to stack several jewels in order to have adequate levels of protection. We feel that this is an excessive amount of investment for how necessary ailment mitigation is to a character's build. This issue has been exacerbated by some of these mods being gated behind corruption, making them more expensive and difficult to acquire. Solution. We are expanding the pool of mods available on magic and rare jewels, and are making their modifier values more generous so that players have better access to sources of ailment mit, such with less investment. Regular jewels that aren't Abyss or Cluster jewels now have mods that provide reduced duration or reduced effect for a wider variety of ailments than ever before. Abyss jewels now have mods that provide avoidance of various ailments. We've also changed monster-inflicted sources of chill and shock effect to be multiplicative rather than additive. This is to allow sources of reduced effective ailments to be able to stack and provide immunity. Good! Good on you, GGG. That's a massive change right there. We have added 5 new suffix mods that can roll on regular jewels, which would be 30 to 35% reduced effect of chill, shock, and reduced duration of poison, bleed, and ignite. Chance to avoid being ignited, chilled, frozen, shocked, poisoned, bleeding, and stunned jewel corruption modifiers can no longer roll. They have been replaced with the following jewel corruption modifiers: 20 to 25% reduced duration of poison, bleed, and ignite, as well as 20 to 25% reduced effect of chill, shock, and curses on you. Chance to avoid being ignited Abyss jewel modifiers now have values of 31 to 40% and 41 to 50%. And this goes for the chance to avoid being shocked, chance to avoid being poisoned, chance to avoid bleed jewels as well. This also applies to the frozen and chill avoid. The corrupted Abyss jewel modifier that provides a 20 to 25% chance to avoid being frozen and chilled now only provides a 20 to 25% chance to avoid being frozen. Reduced effective curses jewel suffix modifiers now have values of 25 to 30%, previously 10%. The 15% reduced effective chill and shock jewel suffix modifier can no longer roll, and the increased stun and block recovery jewel suffix modifier now has values of 25 to 35%. Problem: many unique jewels are not exciting to find. There are a few reasons for this. In most cases, they're simply underpowered or apply a too narrow window of usage, or both. There are also many corruption-only jewels that don't fulfill a good purpose or any at all. Previously, we were hesitant to revisit unique jewels and improve them beyond their initial designs because many of their themes are pretty somewhat rigid in nature, meaning that there is only a little bit of room to improve them without completely remaking them. As an example, there is the Fireborn Crimson Jewel. It has no values that we could increase to make it more useful. It changes the damage type within a radius, which has a very limited opportunity for use. Any improvements we could make to this jewel would have to fundamentally change its identity, and therefore essentially remove the jewel in its current form from Path of Exile. As a solution, we're making it so that every unique jewel that drops is very rare and highly desirable. This means that many existing unique jewels have been removed from the drop pool. The intention is that now, when you find a unique jewel, it should almost always be a positive experience. To help make these jewel drops special, we have designed a new set of unique jewels that are powerful chase items. They can drop from the core drop pool. With that said, there are some unique jewels that were still useful for a subset of players because they had build-enabling modifiers, or very niche uses, like the brute force solution and other attribute transformation jewels. Instead of getting rid of them, they are now corruption-specific, unique jewels. We feel like this has been a benefit for both players who want them and players who don't, as generally players who don't want them won't come across them as core drops, and players who do want them can actively pursue them. Some build-enabling unique jewels, 1 second. Some build-enabling unique jewels can now be found from more deterministic sources throughout Path of Exile. One example is Combat Focus, which can now be obtained through a vendor recipe. Some other build-enabling jewels that affect golems can no longer drop, but can be found from another, more deterministic source. While we do want you to discover this new source on your own during gameplay, we will say for clarity that these jewels do not come from game vendor recipes, which is a good news to me. Specifics. The availability of existing unique jewels has been reviewed, and many, including replicas, can no longer be obtained. The following existing unique jewels are able to be found as item drops: Inspired Learning, Intuitive Leap, Lionized Fall, Might of the Meek, Pure Talent, Unending Hunger, and Unnatural Instinct. The following unique jewels can only be obtained as corruption outcomes. At Series Reign, Brute Force Solution, Careful Planning, Chill Corruption, Efficient Training, Energized Armor, Energy from Within, Fertile Mind, Fever Mind, Fluid Motion, Fortress Covenant, Fragility, Healthy Mind, Hidden Potential, Inertia, Pacifism, Powerlessness, Quickening Covenant, Reign of Splinters, Reckless Defense, Seething Fury, Self-Flagellation, Soulswick, The Golden Rule, and To Dust. Replica Primordial Might and Replica Reckless Defense are the only replica jewels that are able to be obtained. Wait. Huh? Those are the only replica jewels that can be obtained? What about... Wait, what the fuck? Hold up, wait. What was it? Fucking fire... Replica... fucking... It was a replica jewel. Sort by item class, go down to jewel. Yeah, replica hot-headed. That's not here anymore. Replica hot-headed was really fucking awesome. It was really good. But I guess because hot-headed wasn't desirable, replica hot-headed can't be kept in either. So now we only have replica Primordial Might. So that's damage if I have summoned a goal in the past few seconds. And aggressive golems. And replica Reckless Defense, which is plus 2% chance to block damage. And plus 10% chance to be frozen, shocked, or ignited. So that's interesting. Replica's Conquerors isn't staying either, because I don't understand that choice. Because Replica Conquerors has a lot of really good shit on it, like that -9. That's fucking amazing. I know of a lot of builds that will use that Replica Conquerors efficiency because of that -9. as well as that +5 rage. That's a massive buff to a lot of builds. Well, corruption specific ones aren't necessarily going to be non-existent on SSF. Um, it's just going to be more or less that um, because there's fewer jewels to be obtained, they're going to be rare because they can't hit the jewel drop as often. There's not as much weighting on it. They probably have the same drop chance, the same drop weighting, but because there's not so many jewels, it's not weighted so heavily towards jewel drops. So they're just naturally going to be way more rare like that. It's not going to be a massive nerf to jewel rarity, just a nice little tick off of it. So that you're not finding a unique jewel every 5 seconds. That said, there are a few of the replica jewels that still belong. Absolutely. I would say that replica conquerors should be in the game, but I'm not going to argue with it. They're the owners of their game. I will speak up against something that I don't agree with, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to agree with me. They're the game devs. Primordial Might, Harmony, and Imminence are no longer in the core drop pool and are now found from more deterministic sources. We added 6 new vendor recipes for Dead Reckoning, Endless Misery, Spirit Guards, and the 3 Comet Focus unique jewels. Happy hunting! Ancient Orbs and the Altar of Sacrifice in the Temple of Atsuado can no longer be used on unique jewels, flasks, or maps. Okay, interesting. The bestiary recipe that creates a unique jewel has been changed. It now creates a rare talisman. We've also rebalanced some unique jewels and compensated for the loss of specific jewels in the form of new modifiers or skill changes. Specifics. Added Eternal Labyrinth Helmet enchant for Spark and Ethereal Knives that cause helmet projectiles to fire in a circle. The Spark projectile speed helmet enchants and the Ethereal Knives pierce helmet enchants have been removed. Frostblades now has 110% effectiveness of added damage at level 1, previously 100%, scaling up to 225 at level 20, previously 175. It no longer has any increased projectile speed. Quality on Frostblades no longer provides 0 to 20% increased damage. Interesting. Quality on Divergent Summon Skeletons now provides plus 0 to 1 seconds to cooldown, and summons 0 to 4 Skeleton Warriors. Previously, minions' attacks have 0 to 10% chance to maim enemies on hit. The Spirit Guard's unique jewel now has, with at least 40 dexterity and radius, animate weapon can animate up to 20 ranged weapons. Previously, up to 12. Existing versions can be updated using a divine orb. That's going to be interesting. The Pure Talent unique jewel now provides melee skills have 25% increased area of effect. Previously, 15% when your passive skill tree connects to the Marauder's starting location. Existing versions of this unique can be updated using a divine orb. Added 2 new prefix modifiers that can roll on jewels, 2 to 3% increase mana reservation efficiency of skills, and 6 to 10% increased flask duration. Interesting. So we can just straight up roll mana reservation efficiency on jewels now, and it's pretty decent actually. That's pretty decent. That's a pretty sizable amount. Summary, our goal is that finding a unique jewel is an exciting experience. The unique jewels that drop naturally should be those that are very valuable, with broad appeal to the average player. either to use in your own build or to trade to someone else. We've worked towards this goal by removing uninteresting unique jewels, adding more chase unique jewels, and moving jewels that do appeal to a smaller subset of players to other places so that they can be pursued by choice. Problem, because many of the unique jewels that are currently granted through quest rewards are not very desirable. Additionally, because they've offered to all players that make their way through the campaign, they're extremely common, which inhibits them from having value or being meaningful items to find. We have also come to feel that it thematically is incorrect to offer unique items as quest rewards, as it undermines the feeling of uniqueness and prestige. Solution: unique jewels will no longer be offered as quest rewards. Most of the jewels that were previously offered have been removed entirely, though some important ones have had their effects preserved in the form of unique items or by being added into the pool of rollable jewel mods. Okay? Okay. Specifics. Unique jewels are no longer offered as a request reward for completing the King's Feast in Act 5. Instead, you are now offered a choice of rare weaponry. Unique jewels are no longer offered as a quest reward for completing the Wings of Vestiri in Act 8. Instead, you are now offered a choice of rare Crimson, Cobalt, or rare Viridian Jewel. Unique jewels are no longer offered as a quest reward for completing Through Sacred Ground in Act 3. The Book of Regrets is now the only reward offered for this quest. Because these rewards are not static like the unique jewels were, they may have a better chance of being useful to the receiver or something that may be valuable to trade to others. At the very minimum, they should be less predictable. Curses. Problem. Currently, hex builds are at their weakest against monsters where they matter the most, and at their strongest where they matter the least. It's partly because hexes have hidden penalties that reduce their effectiveness when fighting unique and pinnacle monsters. Currently, 33 and 66% respectively. It's normal for these monsters to have those various hidden penalties, as noting every single one would create a lot of clutter in their mod description. You can reasonably expect these monsters to be more difficult to find, so in general, we don't need to show all of these mods. However, the penalty against hexes is an outlier, because it's much more significant compared to other hidden penalties. Because it is so substantial while also being hidden from the players, it is unlikely to be compensated for during build creation, and creates a notable disadvantage for hex builds. Solution: we have removed both of these penalties so that hexes will be consistently effective against all monsters in the game. Excuse me. Pinnacle bosses, map bosses, incursion architects, betrayal targets, breach lords, and others will no longer have a 33 or 66% less effect of curses on them, respectively. Yeah, dude, they're just fucking jealous. I mean, like, bro, we discovered that the G-spot's up the asshole, and they're getting mad at us because we feel better than them. What, you want me to stick your dick up your butthole? You want me to? I'll do it. Problem. Another issue that we feel undermines hex builds is the Doom mechanic. We designed Doom with the goal of making self-cast hexes more effective than other trivial applications of hexes, such as the Blasphemy and Hex Touch support gems. The Doom mechanic was somewhat successful in this goal, but it came at the cost of adding a lot of complexity to Hex mechanics. As a solution, we are removing Doom. And as a consequence, we will be making several other changes to mechanics that previously interacted with Doom. For example, all stats that reference Doom have been replaced with other curse-themed stats. In specific, the Curse Mastery that grants 20% chance for curses you for hexes you cast which gain Doom to be applied with maximum Doom, and 30% increased mana reservation efficiency of curse aura skills have been replaced. The mana reservation efficiency mastery has been replaced, as there are now a much larger amount of mana reservation efficiency for curse auras on the passive tree. Two new masteries have taken their place. The first provides you take 40% reduced extra damage from crit strikes by cursed enemies, while the second provides recover 1% of life when you curse a non-cursed enemy and recover 1% of mana when you curse a non-cursed enemy. That sounds so fucking good. Like, if you are at, like, no fucking HP, right? And you have like a self-cast flammability that doesn't cast anything else with it, you can curse a pack, gain all of your HP back, cast Hex Blast, get rid of that curse, and if you've taken damage in that time, you can curse them again to get a fuck ton of HP back. Yeah, I love this game, dude. Why would I not read the Patchnotes for a game I love? What do you mean, hold attention? Existing curse passive skills have been fully reworked. There are now 6 curse clusters on the passive tree. Oh, Path of Exile? You just twisted the words? Oh, okay. The Vampirism cluster has been moved on the passive tree to make space for a new curse cluster and to become more accessible to the Witch starting location. The Whispers of Doom notable passive skill continues to give you can apply an additional curse. It now has a much larger selection of small passive skills leading to the notable, however, which provide Corridor of Grounded, Road of Deportion. Jesus Christ. 5% increased effect of curses. Curse skills have 10% increased cast speed, 15% increased AoE of hex skills, 10% increased mana reservation efficiency of curse aura skills, and 15% increased curse duration. The Malicious Intent notable passive skill now gives a +2 to the level of all cursed skill gems. The cluster now has small passive skills, granting 15% increased curse duration and 5% increased effect of your curses. The Defiled Forces notable passive skill gives refresh duration of Ignite, Chill, and Shock on non-cursed enemies you curse, and 100% chance to remove elemental ailments when you cast a curse spell. With small passive skills in the cluster now providing, curse skills have 10% increased attack cast speed. Okay, that sounds really fucking awesome for a lot of builds. That's really good. The Last Rites notable passive skill now gives cursed enemies you kill are destroyed. Okay, fuck. That's basically just going to be mandatory against map has animals, because that just means that we're going to be getting rid of porcupines without dealing with the fact that they're fucking porcupines. Jacket, because I know you don't know about it. Basically, when the map says map has wild animals, that means that it's going to have porcupines, because porcupines are a wild animal. And porcupines in this game, when you kill them, they explode and they throw a bunch of spikes all over the place. But you can get around that if you destroy the corpse before they can explode. And this lets you do that. Blastlight's notable passive skill now also provides enemies cursed by you have 50% reduced life regeneration rate. The cluster now has small passive skills granting recover 1% of mana when you kill a cursed enemy, and recover 1% of life when you kill a cursed enemy. Recover 2% of mana when you kill a cursed enemy. Recover 2% of life when you kill a cursed enemy. The Skittering Runes notable passive skill now gives 50% increased AoE of Hex skills, 20% increased mana reservation of Curse Aura skills, and 20% reduced mana cost of Curse skills. The cluster now has small passive skills granting 15% increased AoE of Hex skills, 10% increased mana reservation of Curse Auras, and 10% reduced mana cost of Cursed skills. Really giving us a lot of Curse Aura shit right there. Holy fuck, that's great. The Steeped in the Profane notable passive skill gives 15% reduced effect of curses on you, and 10% increased effect of your curses, with small passive skills in the cluster now providing 5% increased effect of your curses. That's fucking amazing. A lot of buffs to curses on the passive tree. Quality on the Divergent Impending Doom support no longer has 0 to negative 25% more damage with hits per 5 deal on hex. It now has 0 to 40% reduced cooldown recovery rate. Essences of Delirium now provide 6 to 7% increased chance to block spell damage for amulets. Previously, hexes you inflict have 10 to maximum doom. The Legacy hexes you inflict have plus 5 to maximum doom. Essence modifier on existing rings has been replaced with 5% increased effect of your curses. The hexes you inflict have plus 10 to maximum doom essence mod on existing enemies have been replaced with 10% increased effect of your curses. Hexblast has had its skill mechanics and damage adjusted to account for the loss of doom scaling. So we're going to take a note there. Watch for Hexblast nerfs. Broadly speaking, it does less damage at the very top end of gameplay, but getting it to a fairly decent level of damage is easier than ever before. It now removes a hex with the lowest remaining duration from an enemy after damaging. Its damage is also more consistent because you no longer need to wait for doom to build up. Damage is also more consistent because they put the line in there twice. As a specific, Hexblast doesn't have any Doom-related stats anymore. It now has a cast time of 1 second, previously 0.6, and a mana cost of 16 at gem level 1, previously 10. Scaling up to 30 at gem level 20, which was previously a mana cost of 20. It now deals 92 to 138 chaos damage at level 1, previously... Okay, so low level, it's been cut off a little bit. They removed 2k from the high-end base damage on level 20? Jeez, dude, that's not just a tiny nerf. You're cutting Hexblast's dick off right there. I mean, there's a lot of room for giving it more damage. There's a lot of ways to invest into it, most certainly. And it's also affected by the hex that it removes, and you can also curse right after, and then Hexblast again. It's a whole thing, but that's a lot of let's see. It now has 100% more damage with hits if enemy is hexed, 60% more damage with ailments if enemy is hexed. The spell's cast time is added to its cooldown if triggered, and removes a hex after damaging. It also now has 280% increased effectiveness of added damage, previously 310. So it's actually gotten a little bit more damage because they've added on that 100% more damage with hits if enemy is hexed modifier onto it, and 60% more damage with ailments if enemy is hexed modifier onto the spell. It's certainly going to be interesting to see how people are building with this. So, yeah. Impending Doom has also had its base damage roughly doubled to compensate for this loss, which is a great one. We have also replaced the Doomsday Keystone with new Hex-themed Keystones, and introduced the new Cursed Ground support, which was reworked from the Doomsday Keystone. Doom Blast from the Impending Doom support now deals 100 not ready to die. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to deny that. I'm reading Patchnotes right now. I am sorry, Jacket, but I have to deny that. Take your point back. Listen, I would sing it, but I am reading Patchnotes right now. I can't just stop reading Patchnotes to sing. Because after I finish reading this Patchnotes, I'm gonna end the stream. Doom Blast from the Impending Doom support now deals 102 to 154 chaos damage at gem level 1, previously 54 to 81, up to 1,654 to 2,481 at gem level 20. I don't owe you one, Jacket. Gee them. Jeez. Previously, it was 868 to 1301. Okay, so that's a massive buff for Doom Blast, and subsequently for Hex Blast. Now has a 370% effectiveness of added damage at all gem levels, previously 200%. So that's massive. The Doomsday Keystone passive skill has been replaced with a new Hexmaster Keystone. This keystone provides your hexes have infinite duration and 20% less effect of your curses. We've buffed a bunch of hex-related unique items and have reworked unique items that previously interacted with Doom, such as the Faded End Unique Ring. We've also added in some powerful new unique items that interact with hexes. Specifics. The Heretic's Veil unique helmet now has +2 to the level of Socketed Curse Gems, previously +1, and Socketed Curse Gems have 30% increased reservation efficiency, previously 20%. The reservation efficiency change affects existing items, though a Divine Orb will need to be used to update the display, or receive the level of Socketed Curse Gem change. The Cosprey's Will unique body armor now has 150 to 200% increased evasion rating, previously 120 to 160%. That's a pretty decent buff for it. And always poison on hit against cursed enemies, previously a 60% chance. That's baller. I love that change. It also now has plus 31 to 53% to chaos resistance, previously 17 to 29%. Existing versions of this unique can be updated using a Divine Orb. The Elphabon's Trickery unique helmet no longer has 20% chance to curse non-cursed enemies with a random hex on hit. Existing versions of this unique are unaffected. New versions of this unique now have cursed enemies which hit you with a random hex, ignoring curse limit. Ooh, that's interesting. Very interesting. Could be a solid defensive layer depending on like how you build with it. The Thelobog Fang unique amulet now causes enemy cursed by you to be hindered with 30% reduced movement speed if 25% of curse duration has expired. Previously 25% reduced. And enemies cursed by you take 35% increased damage if 75% of curse duration expired, which was previously just 25% increased damage. Existing versions can be updated using a Divine Orb. In most cases, systems that facilitate somewhat automated gameplay, like Hex Touch applying hexes automatically, should come at a much higher cost or be less effective. In some cases, both are needed to counterbalance the significant upsides of automation. Otherwise, the option to automate will always be the obvious choice. and will equip other more interactive gameplay styles. The Doom mechanic was aimed at fulfilling this function for hexes and is being replaced by alternate, simpler solutions. They've added penalties to both Blasphemy and Hex Touch supports that grant less curse effect at all gem levels. Additionally, item mods that inflict a specific hex will no longer do so with increased effects, and that includes items where the hex is meant to be a downside on the player, such as Coward's Chains, Coward's Legacy, or Soul Mantle. Alright. Alright, so, Hex Touch support has 35% less effective supported curses at all gem levels, and supported skills also have 50% reduced curse duration at gem level 1, up to 31% reduced at gem level 20, which was previously 12% reduced. Quality now, instead of providing curse duration, and provides increased effect. Quality now provides 10% curse duration at 20% quality instead of effect of supported curses. Similarly, for Awakened Hex Touch support, it now has 35% less effect of curses at all gem levels. Supported skills now have 30% reduced curse duration at level 1, which was previously 10%, up to 26% at gem level 5, which was previously 2%. Quality now provides supported gems have 10% increased curse duration instead of 10% increased effect of supported curses. Blasphemy support, along with Awakened Blasphemy support, now has 25% less effective supported curses at all gem levels. And Quality will now provide increased area of effect of cursed skills instead of increased effect of cursed skills. Hexes supported by Bane now have 25% less effect, and item modifiers that inflict a specific hex will no longer do so with the increased effect. They'll instead be applying them at level 1. Curse on hit modifiers that appear on influence rings now only have a singular tier, as both tiers are now identical. The level 80 version of the modifier is the one that has been kept, which is great. Problem: different hex types are not evenly balanced when applied via hex on hit modifiers. Some hexes, like Vulnerability and Despair, are much more powerful than others. That is because hex on hit modifiers apply a hex equivalent to the level 1 version of the hex skill gem. Excuse me. Some hexes are very strong at level 1 relative to their level 20 power because they scale in a gradual way with gem level. This means that in a lot of cases, using hex on hit is too powerful alongside its benefit of also applying hexes automatically. As a solution, we are stabilizing the gem scaling rate of hexes. In general, they will be twice as powerful at gem level 20 than they are at level 1. All right, so we're gonna go through this. It's gonna be a little bit interesting. There are some of these changes I'm already seeing are kind of meh. Punishment now causes cursed enemies to take 30% increased damage while in low life at level 1, previously 40%, up to 58% at gem level 20, previously 78%. It no longer has 10% of overkill damage from killing blows on cursed enemies is reflected to other enemies as physical damage. That is a massive loss for punishment, but whatever. I don't think people were really using punishment for that. Quality on the Divergent punishment skill no longer provides 20% increased AoE. Instead, it now provides 10% of overkill damage from killing blows is reflected. Elemental Weakness now causes cursed enemies to have minus 15 to elemental resistances at level 1, previously minus 20, up to minus 30% at gem level 20, previously minus 39. Quality on Elemental Weakness no longer causes curse enemies to have 0 to -5 to LE res. Instead, it now grants 0 to 10 increased effect of curse. Now, this effectively means that we're going from a 0 to 5% to elemental resistance to 0 to 3%. And on top of that, because this is scaling the base effect of the curse, and we're switching to endpoint scaling, so it's much less. We're getting much less effect out of this curse. Quality on anomalous enemy weakness no longer grants a curse effect. Instead, it grants curse duration. Flammability now causes cursed enemies to have -17 to fire res at gem level 1, previously 25% up to 36% at gem level 20. Previously, it was 44%. This goes for frostbite and frost resistance and conductivity and lightning resistance. The following skills have a base duration of 8 seconds at gem level 1, which was previously 9 seconds, up to 11.8 at gem level 20, which was previously 10.9. Conductivity, Despair, LE Weakness, Enfeeble, Flammability, Frostbite, Punishment, and Vulnerability. Temp Chains now has a base duration of 5 seconds at level 1, which is unchanged, up to 8 at level 20, which it was previously only 5.95. Yeah. Further changes to some hexes are listed below. Continue watching or listening if you are interested in that. Problem: we feel that there are currently too many sources of curse effect available. This has created a large power gap between players that have no investment in curses and those that have heavy curse investment. And that's continually caused us to have the baseline effect of curses be lower than we would like. Solution: we're regulating the number of sources of curse effect through the game, which will rein in the power of players building curse support characters. These changes have been focused on less accessible sources of curse effect, such as Eldritch Implicits on helmets, rather than accessible sources like passive skill tree. The curse effect notables on collective jewels have been replaced with other appropriate ones, like faster ignite effects, blah blah blah. Yeah, sure, what's a fun fact, Penguiny Infinite? There are approximately 3 to 4 spiders living in your keyboard right now. Okay, that's fine. Spiders are pretty cool creatures. I know most people have a kill 'em with fire type mentality about them, but they're honestly pretty chill, pretty cool creatures, so I don't really give a shit. Specifics, the eternal... Oh, in all seriousness, water bottles have expiration dates that are for the bottle rather than the water. You're not wrong there. So, the Eternal Labyrinth Helm enchant that grants increased effective curses applied by Bane now has a value of 10, which was previously 5%. 15%. The Merc version of this enchant can no longer be obtained, although the existing versions are completely unaffected. Lab helmet enchants that provide increased effect for a specific hex now have values of 10% for the Merc enchant and 15% for the Eternal enchants, previously 15% and 30% respectively. Eldritch implicit modifiers on helmets that provide increased effect to a specific hex now have values up to 16%, previously 36%, up to 19% in the presence of a unique monster, previously 46%, and up to 22% in the presence of a pinnacle boss, previously 60%. The Glorious Vanity Timeless Jewel Notable Transformation now grants 4 to 6% increased curse effect, previously 7 to 10. The Glorious Vanity Timeless Jewel Small Node Transformation now grants 2% increased curse effect, previously 2 to 4%. Increased effect of curses can no longer roll on Abyss Jewels. Small cluster passive jewels that grant, curse effect, now have values of 2%, previously 3%. The increased effect of your curses Redeemer influence modifier on shields now has value of 8 to 12%, previously 12 to 15%, and the lower tiers of this modifier can no longer be obtained. The increased effect of your curses Veiled modifier on shields now has values of 8 to 10%, previously 12 to 14%. Crafted versions have been adjusted accordingly. The replica deity stamming unique ring now has 10 to 15% increased curse effect, previously 15 to 25%. Existing versions of this unique can be made worse with a divine orb. The Jinxed Juju unique amulet no longer has 5 to 10% increased curse effect. Existing versions of this unique are unaffected. It also now has 10 to 15% increased effect of non-curse auras from your skills. Previously, 5 to 10. Existing versions of this unique can be updated to the new values with a divine orb. The Delve exclusive body armor mod that grants 10 to 15% increased effect of your curses can no longer roll. And just to run it through, anything that gave you curse effect for a specific curse on cluster jewels now grants that curse can affect hexproof enemies and increased effect of the element associated with that effect. So flammability got ignite damage against cursed enemies. Frostbite got freeze duration. Conductivity got shock effect. LE weakness got 1% to maximum LE resistance if you killed a cursed enemy recently. Despair got recover 2% of ES on killing cursed enemies. Exploit weakness got us recover 2% of life on killing cursed enemies. Punishment got you have Culling Strike against cursed enemies. Villager Spite now gave Enfeeble Enfeeble now gets 35% increased critical chance against cursed enemies, and the following cluster jewel notables can no longer roll. Forbidden Word, Master of Fear, and Wish for Death. Existing cluster jewels that provided inevitable doom now provide Evil Eye. We have removed the 15% increased effect of your curses, and enemies you curse have malediction stats from the malediction notable on the occultist ascendancy. The your curses can affect hexproof enemy stat has been removed from profane bloom to what was the malediction notable. We will be renaming this notable passive as it no longer causes you to apply malediction. Due to the increased power in hexes against tougher monsters, the effects of this notable are still extremely strong, as the removal of the hex penalty cannot be understated. The massive buff to hexes especially applies to occultists because they have access to more hexes than other ascendancies. The curse effect removed from the notable, previously known as malediction, has been moved to the passive skill tree where it is available for everyone. This is important because while the occultist is still the strongest overall ascendancy for one applying a lot of hexes, it is not mandatory to play for someone who really just wants to have strong hexes. Alright? As per Profane Bloom, aside from removing the hexproof part, it has gone down from a 50% chance to explode, it has gone down to 40% chance. So another small nerf there, but it's ultimately, you know, if you have 40% chance to explode, you're still exploding a fuck ton of shit. So, whatever. Problem: the current balance of Enfeeble and Temp Chains make them exceedingly strong against normal and magic monsters, while being pretty ineffective against the Pinnacle bosses. For example, a level 20 Temp Chains gem currently reduces a Pinnacle boss action speed by just 4%. You can get about twice as much of action speed reduction using any chill at all. It's just another case of hexes being weakest where they need to matter the most, and strongest where they matter the least. And because of the changes to Curse effect, we're now able to make Temp Chains and Enfeeble strong defensive options. In specific, Enfeebles now causes cursed, normal, or magic enemies to deal 15% less damage at level 1, previously 21%, up to 29% at gem level 20, which was previously 30%. It also now causes cursed, rare, or unique enemies to deal 9% less damage at gem level 1, which was previously 10%, up to 18% less at gem level 20, which was previously 15%. That's great. Quality no longer grants increased curse effect. Instead, it grants curse duration. Quality on Anomalous Enfeeble no longer causes the curse to have increased doom gain. It now instead has AoE. Temp Chains now causes cursed, normal, and magic enemies to have 15% less action speed at gem level 1, previously 20%, up to 29% at gem level 20. This is unchanged. It also now causes cursed, rare, and unique enemies to have 9% less action speed at gem level 1, previously 10%, up to 18% reduced action speed at level 20, previously 14%. Quality no longer grants effect of curse. Instead, it now grants curse duration. Same thing on Anomalous Temp Chains. Instead of doom gain, you get AoE. While working on the previously outlined updates, we took the opportunity to make some stat changes to Vulnerability and Despair to make these gems a bit cleaner. They're now much more focused on making enemies vulnerable to poison and chaos damage and physical damage in ways that are generically useful for any build dealing primarily physical or chaos damage. Vulnerability no longer has ailments inflicted on cursed enemies deal damage 20% faster. It now has cursed enemies take 15% increased physical damage at gem level 1, previously 30%, up to 30% at gem level 20, previously 39%. It now has attacks against cursed enemies have 25% chance to inflict bleeding, which was previously 20%. Quality now provides 10% increased duration of bleeding on cursed enemies instead of attacks hits against cursed enemies have 10% chance to inflict bleeding. Despair, similarly, no longer causes cursed enemies to take 25% damage over time from effects, and it no longer adds 9 to 46 to 12 to 76 chaos damage to hit against cursed enemies. It now causes cursed enemies to have minus 15 to chaos resistance at level 1, previously minus 20%, up to 30% at gem level 20, previously 29%. Quality no longer causes cursed enemies to take increased damage from damage over time effects. Instead, it now provides increased curse effect. Quality on Anomalous Despair no longer provides increased curse effect, and so it now causes enemies to take increased damage over time from damage over time effects. In general, curses will be strong against tougher monsters and weaker against weaker monsters. We've removed Doom to simplify how hexes work, and we've introduced penalties to automated curse application methods to keep them from outclassing self-casting. And we've made several other balance changes as a consequence of these overall changes. Now, end-game unique weapons. This is something all of you are wanting for, and that's something I am wanting for. Problem: many of Path of Exile's most iconic unique attack-based weapons have fallen out of use over the years. That's mainly because attack-based builds prioritize high base weapon damage over all else. and unique weapons are currently unable to compete with the rare weapons in that regard. While a fundamental aspect of Path of Exile's itemization is that unique items will be outclassed by rares, in the case of these iconic weapons, they get outclassed before they can even be reasonably acquired. As a solution, we've increased the power of some existing end-game weapons. In these cases, massively, in order to bring them in line with some of Path of Exile's most iconic unique items. In most cases, these items have been made a significant quantity rarer. Hey, let's pop in, Lynn. Yeah, I'm reading the patch notes for 3.20. If you're interested in seeing them all read out loud, because you were a little bit late, that's going to be live. Not live. I'm going to be cutting this out of this VOD and putting it straight onto YouTube right after this. Specifics of the in-game unique weapons changes. The At Serious Disfavor unique axe no longer has +2 to level of socketed support gems. Oh yeah, it probably doesn't affect you yet. It affects me though. Existing versions of this unique are unaffected. It now has adds 310 to 330 up to 370 to 390 physical damage, which previously was 205 to 220 up to 250 to 270. And +10 to weapon range. It previously had only +2. Holy crap, +10 weapon range on At Serious Disfavor? That's actually significant. Like, bro, that's awesome. Existing versions of this unique can be updated to the new values using a Divine Orb, and the new versions of this unique now have +30% to quality of socketed support gems. Holy crap. Oh shit, Beano's! Okay. The Beano's Kitchen Knife Unique Dagger no longer has 30% increased damage over time. It now adds 140 to 155 to 210 to 235 physical damage. Previously 50-60 and 120 to 140. Previous existing versions of this unique can be updated using a Divine Orb. So Beano's is gonna be freaking amazing if you're playing any sort of poison build right now. Well, in 320, I can think of Poison Blade Vortex as massively benefiting from having a Beano's and a Cold Iron Point. That'd be massive. Holy crap. Oh, well, it's a great time to start. Go ahead and get yourself some practice. Try and enjoy the game. It's your first playthrough. You only ever get one first playthrough. The Bloodseeker Unique Claw now has 200 to 220% increased physical damage. Previously 150 to 170. And adds 25 to 30 physical damage. Previously 10 to 12. Existing versions of this unique can be updated using a Divine Orb. The Divinarius Unique Dagger now has 100 to 150% increased spell damage, previously 50 to 70%. Gain 100 to 200 life per enemy killed, previously 30. And gain 50 to 100 mana per enemy killed, previously 10. It also now has 200 to 250% increased critical strike chance for spells if you've killed recently, previously 125 to 175, and +60 to 100% to critical strike multipliers for spells if you haven't killed recently, previously +40 to 60%. Existing versions of this unique can now be updated with a Divine Orb. The Essentia Sanguis Unique Claw no longer has 140 to 180% increased physical damage, or 50% reduced maximum recovery per energy shield leech. Existing versions of this unique are unaffected by these changes. It also now adds 1 to 500 to 600 lightning damage. Previously, only 1 to 200. and existing versions of this unique can be updated to the new values using a divine orb. The Kingmaker unique axe now has 300 to 360% increased physical damage, previously 190 to 240. Existing versions of this unique can be updated using a divine orb. Okay, so I'm just going to quit saying the divine orb update thing. Just know that if I say a change, you can update it using a divine orb. The Katava's Feast unique axe now has socketed gems are supported by level 30 melee splash. Previously level 25. This change affects existing items, though you will need to use a divine orb to fix the description on the item. The Lionized Glare unique bow now has 180 to 200% increased physical damage. Previously 90 to 105%. And now adds 7 to 14 to 24 to 34 physical damage, previously 6 to 12 to 20 to 32. Existing versions can be updated. The Morohiorki unique mace now has 500 to 600% increased physical damage, previously 400 to 500%. The Savior unique sword now has 130 to 150% increased physical damage, previously 40 to 50%. The Soul Taker unique axe now has 140% to 180% increased physical damage, previously 100 to 140%, and it adds 30 to 40 physical damage, previously only 10 to 20. The replica Soul Taker unique axe is no longer attainable. The Starforge unique sword now has 400 to 450% increased physical damage, previously 200 to 300%. Existing versions can be updated. Do update it. The Varunastra unique sword now has 80 to 100% increased physical damage, previously 40 to 60%. The Void Forge unique sword no longer has 30 to 60% increased physical damage. Existing versions are unaffected. It now has gained 700% of weapon physical damage as extra damage of a random element. What? Bro, Void Forge Rage Vortex is gonna be clearing like a motherfucker. That value was previously 300%. The Voltaxic Rift unique bow no longer has 10% chance to shock. Existing versions of this unique are unaffected. It now has as 1 to 600 to 750 lightning damage. Previously 1 to 275 to 375. And 100% of lightning damage is converted to chaos. Previously 60%. Existing versions of this unique can be updated to the new values using a divine orb. Oh! Voltaxic Rift and Void Forge looking extra juicy. I'm not too sure on Starforge. You're probably still going to need to invest a little bit in Curse Effect. Well, not Curse, but into a Shock Effect. But, excuse me. I'm very happy with these changes. Very, very much extremely happy with these changes. I am going to want to Void Forge this league. Mitigating monster life regeneration. Problem. Monster life regen is rarely a significant issue for players, but in cases where it does present an obstacle, there are almost no solutions to deal with it. Solution: introduce some new sources to mitigate monster life regeneration that are able to be accessed easily. In specific, 60% increased life recovery from flasks when used on low life is now found on the base Soul of Vrslotha Pantheon. The upgraded Soul of Vrslotha Pantheon now provides enemies you've hit recently have 50% reduced life regeneration rate. The 50% increased life recovery from flasks when used in low life mastery has been replaced with nearby enemies have 50% reduced life regeneration rate. That's awesome. Strike skills and additional enemies. Problem. Most strike melee skills are currently reliant on ways to strike extra targets or deal splash damage in order to compete with any other build when clearing groups of enemies. Solution. Add melee splash access to the passive skill tree and move the single additional strike there to the attack mastery instead of to a specific node. No! Yes! Oh! Finally! I've been saying this for a while! Oh! Specifics. The Tribal Fury notable passive skill no longer has strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. It now has melee strike skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets. The two small passive skills in the Tribal Fury cluster, which provide 10% increased melee damage and 15% increased melee splash area of effect, have been removed. Added a new attack mastery that provides strike skills target one additional nearby enemy, which replaces the strike skills target additional enemies from 30% further away mastery. Pious Path got nerfed. They cut off the 50% increased effect of concentrated ground you create from it. So Pious Path is it's a little less powerful now. It's lost a lot of power, but it's still really, really good for life regen. Spectral Helix and Lightning Conduit. Problem. Both Spectral Helix and Lightning Conduit are currently too strong at all stages of the game relative to other similar skills. The solution, we've lowered the damage of these two skills to bring them more in line with the others. Spectral Helix now only has 100% increased effectiveness of added damage at level 1, previously 160% up to 150% at gym level 20, previously 250%. So, Spectral Helix, don't play it this week. It has had its dick cut off. Lightning Conduit now deals 33 to 98 lightning damage at gym level 1, previously 43 to 130. Up to 387 to 1161 at gym level 20, previously 516 to 1548. It now has 140% effectiveness of added damage, previously 190%. So Lightning Conduit also got a massive nerf. Almost 500 points of base damage removed and 50% damage effectiveness removed from that. So these two skills nerfed into the ground. That's fine. They've had their league. They probably, Spectral Helix, in order for it to really show all of its flying colors, really did depend on having slowed projectiles, which isn't really going to be it's not going to be like available so easily in the Forbidden Sanctum, as far as I can understand. So, Spectral Helix is at its dick cut off. So I would recommend just playing something else. Lightning Strike. It is currently overperforming in comparison to other skills. It's very good at both clearing and single target damage. Solution. We've changed the number of additional projectiles fired by Lightning Strike. It now requires more investment in additional projectiles for improved clear speed. Specifically, Lightning Strike now only deals 2 additional projectiles at all gym levels. Previously, it was 4 at level 1 up to 7 at level 20. Quality on Lightning Strike no longer provides 0 to 20% increased damage. Quality on Vol Lightning Strike no longer provides that damage either. Quality on Divergent Lightning Strike no longer has additional projectiles. Instead, it now provides 20% chance to shock enemies. Labyrinth Helmet chance that cause Lightning Strike to fire additional projectiles now only have values of 1 and 2 instead of the previous 2 and 3. Whatever, that's fine. Lightning Strike has literally been the strongest build in the game for the past year straight. I'm surprised they didn't cut it off so, like, after like 2 leagues. I mean, like like this has literally been the year of Lightning Strike. Divergent Second Wind. The life regeneration on skill use provided by Divergent Second Wind support has irreconcilable bugs with a few other stats that interact with life regeneration. We've replaced the stat on Divergent Second Wind with generic life recovery instead of life regeneration. So instead of granting regenerate 1% of life over 1 second when you use supported skills, instead it now grants recover 1% of life when you use supported skills. Okay. That's a nerf, because recover activates over 4 seconds, doesn't it? If I remember correctly. Historically, Onslaught itself has never been a buff, and cannot be scaled by modifiers to buff effects, as its only effect is you have Onslaught, which isn't very sensible. Solution, Onslaught is now a buff, and modifiers to buff effect now apply to Onslaught. That includes flask effect modifiers when Onslaught is provided through a flask. As such, flask effect modifiers are now able to roll on silver flasks. Alright, Withering Step and Elusive. Problem, Withering Step could be used to keep up a far stronger elusive effect on average, especially in combination with the Nightblade support. Normally, you have to wait for elusive to gradually lose effectiveness and fall off before you can gain elusive again. But with Withering Step, you could replace that existing elusive buff with that of Withering Steps, and then use any skill to lose it again. Solution, Withering Step can no longer be used while already elusive. This change shouldn't affect builds that don't have ways to gain elusive outside of Withering Step. Ick. That's gross. Elusive was... I don't understand the need for the elusive nerf, but whatever. Well, actually, I do. Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike's the problem here. Ancestor Totem. Added a new totem mastery that provides Ancestor Totem buff effects linger for 3 seconds, which replaces the 50% increased totem placement range mastery. Tainted Orbs of Fusing. Problem, when reintroducing tainted currency items, the chances for different outcomes for rebalance to be appropriate for the core game. The new odds for Tainted Orbs of Fusing made it hard to justify using one on your gear at all, as it could become an expensive venture. As a solution, we have changed the outcome odds of Tainted Orbs of Fusing to be more favorable, to match where they were in Scourge League. So they're probably sitting at 30-70, 40-60, or 50-50% chance. And that would be against you. Fracturing Orb. Due to changes to Exalted and Divine Orbs in 3.19, Harbs felt relatively unrewarding to farm, as Exalted Shards presented a significant portion of the value from their original rewards. As a solution, we have introduced the Fracturing Orb and Fracturing Shards, and we've removed the Harvest Craft that features a random fractured modifier on an item. Cyrus's Arena. Problem. It's hard to tell where the edge of Cyrus's Arena is when environmental decorations are visually de-atomized. Solution. We have changed these visuals so you can still tell where the edge of the arena is after a de-atomization storm has passed over the decorations. Corrosive Hunger. Problem. Wading through ooze in the infinite hunger fight can be overly punishment if you aren't using a movement skill. Solution. Reduce the rate at which players gain stacks of Corrosive Hunger in the infinite hunger boss fight. Bestiary Party Play. Problem. Bestiary in Party Play currently awards a beast to every player when capturing beasts, causing Party Play to be the best way to capture specific rare beasts many times over. Solution: additional captures of a beast when playing in a party are now rolled on a per-player basis, with the chance being tied to the quantity bonus granted for playing in a party. The owner of the instance is still guaranteed to receive that captured beast. T-Rex, complete the map mission. Problem: this mission is a bit too generous in the unique maps offered, with some of the more rare unique maps being offered more frequently than they should. As a solution, Kirak's giftiness for the maps offered for this mission have been reduced. The chances for him to offer a more rare unique map is now much more reasonable. Identified memory lines. Problem: was possible to use the Path of Exile trade website to determine the modifiers on unidentified Atlas memories. Solution: Atlas memories now just simply drop identified. Okay, that's a very sensible change there. There's just like, why would they drop it unidentified in the first place? Easier just to drop them identified. Problem solved. Rogues markers. Upon leaving town in Act 6 and killing your first set of monsters, you'd very quickly obtain rogue monsters and be told to go back to town and talk to Kudai. This directed the flow of the main questline, and you were then directed to do more and more things for the initial heist quest. Well, we have removed the guaranteed rogues marker drop from Act 6. Monster balance. Boiling ambushers found in map areas now cast Frostbite instead of Ellie weakness. The Bone Prison skill used by the Necropolis map boss now has a small gap to run out through. What the fuck? Those ran through a Markov chain editor earlier. And this literally came out unaffected. Let me pull that up. Let me pull that up. I gotta pull that up. What the heck? The Markov chain editor. Yeah, look. It literally came out completely unscathed by the Markov chain editor. Magnus Stonethorns casts when damage taken Molten Shell now requires more damage to be triggered and now absorbs more damage in map areas proportional to the life changes that Rogue Exiles received in 3.19. The skill now also has a 1-second cooldown, previously none. Kirak League mods available during 3.20. Fortune Favors Brave for 3 Chaos Orbs. Anarchy costs 2 Chaos Orbs. Area is inhabited by 2 additional Rogue Exiles. Domination for 3 Chaos Orbs. Area contains 3 shrines. Breach for 4. See? Area contains 2 additional breaches. Beyond for 5C. Slaying enemies close together can attract monsters from beyond. Harbinger costs 6C. Area contains 3 additional Harbingers. Delirium 10C. Area contains a Mirror of Delhi. Ritual costs 13C. Area contains ritual altars. Quest changes. Shield Crush is now offered to the Marauder for completing Enemy at the Gate. Volcanic Fissure is now offered to the Marauder for completing the Siren's Cadence and can be purchased from Nessa by the Marauder, Templar, Duelist, and Scion. Okay, so I'm starting Volcanic Fissure. Cursed Ground Support is now able to be purchased from Clarissa by the Witch, Shadow, and Scion upon completing a Fixture of Fate. Multiple Totem Support is no longer offered to the Witch for completing the Eternal Nightmare. Frozen Legion is now offered to the Templar for completing Breaking the Seal, and can be purchased from Pederas and Vanja by the Templar, Marauder, Duelist, and Scion. Hex Bloom support is now offered to the Witch for completing the Eternal Nightmare, and can be purchased from Pederas and Vanja by the Witch, Shadow, and Scion. UI changes. Added a display that details the effects of all Aldrich avatars that have been selected in an area. Right-clicking on a Chronicle of Atuatl now allows you to view the Temple of Atuatl, previously control-click, and the text on the Chronicle of Atuatl items has been updated to mention this. Updated the Atlas mission information text on the Atlas to clarify if accumulated missions are based on the highest tier of maps you have completed on your Atlas. Hovering over a recipe that adds a specific modifier to the bestiary panel or at the blood altar now displays a preview of that modifier. Added slots for the newly introduced fracturing orb and shard to the currency stash tab. The league filter on the character selection screen now only lists league you have a character in. The miniature energy shield bar from the show mini life bar above you. User interface option will now display separately to the life bar when you have a certain amount of energy shield at different level thresholds. It is now possible to right-click on a divine vessel that has captured a soul to upgrade a Pantheon power, though you can still turn them into Sin if you prefer that. Improve the scroll speed in the friends and guild sections of the social panel. Wait. Okay. So let's see. Bug fixes. Fix a bug where ROG would only offer base types that had unique versions. ROG can now offer items of any naturally droppable weapon, armor, or jewelry base type. Fix a bug that allowed the total value of minimum power, frenzy, or endurance charges to go negative, which could cause skills to act as if players had more charges than they actually did. Fix a bug where auras supported by divine blessing socketed in a weapon slot could remain active after weapon swapping if you had another copy of the gem socketed in the same weapon slot. Fix the bug where the area of effect of hex skills supported by blasphemy support were able to be negative, resulting in the hex applying to yourself rather than enemies. Fix a bug introduced in 3.12, where applying temp chains in a way not from a curse skill, such as through curse on hit modifiers, was incorrectly applying temp chains. 50% less effect on players to all targets. Fix the bug where applying punishment in a way not from a cursed skill, such as through the Centauri's Answer's unique shield, was causing cursed enemies to take 50% increased damage while on low life instead of 40. Fix the bug where fields created by Galvanic Field would remain after unequipping that skill. Fixed a bug where Nudo's Harp was able to create chilled ground where you had not frozen an enemy. The description of icicle bursts triggered by a Chimera's Avarice unique used to state projectiles fired in a circle around enemies you kill instead of enemies you hit. Temporal Rift reset your life, mana, and energy shields to the value they had when first cast. Could be incorrectly prevented by some recovery restrictions. Tempest Shield could cause it to sometimes fail to deal damage until the skill was turned off and then back on again. Fix a bug where mods to the expiry speed up buffs or debuffs on you apply to things they shouldn't, such as Valk Cold Snap's chilling area. The modifier on the Ruptured debuff that caused bleeding to expire 25% more quickly on the target would stack incorrectly with some other modifiers to expiry speed. Fix a bug where the Flagellant Flask mod was triggering from some types of reflected damage, which is usually prevented from triggering hit effects. Clarified various projectile damage related stat descriptions to state whether the stat applies to ailments and or other damage over time. Some projectile related damage modifiers apply to damage with ailments inflicted by attacks but not ailments inflicted by spells. They now apply in both cases. The curse effect reduction applied to monsters at very deep depth was not applying correctly. Modifiers to the duration of bleeding or poison on you could not apply to bleeding or poison, which was a skill duration, from enemy puncture or viper strike skills. Modifiers that make ailment deal faster incorrectly lowered the duration of poisons twice, resulting in lowering total damage dealt over the lifetime of the poison debuff. Also fixed this issue for Bleeding from the puncture skill. Non-puncture bleeding and ignite were completely unaffected by this bug. Swift Affliction's less duration of supported skills and damaging ailments they inflict did not apply correctly for bleeding from skills other than puncture. Having negative values of damage conversion would grant extra damage of the initial damage type. Flat amounts of reflected damage were not being affected in PvP damage scaling. Kurgal the Black-Blooded could have incorrect life in their final phase at Deep Delve depths. New enemies that entered the range of a melee strike after the start of the damaging part of the strike, but before it reached the angle to hit them, would not be damaged at all. Malachi's Loop had a bug where shocks you when reaching maximum power charges, was processed before the state change enabled the mastery stat, which prevents being shocked while at maximum power charges. This was particularly notable if using Ralakesh's Impatience, which prevents the loop from removing the charges. Fixed a bug where energy shield values were sometimes incorrect after area transitions if ongoing seals or buffs were modifying maximum energy shield. Fixed some inconsistent behavior when triggering Lightning Conduit with Battle Mage's Cry. Gluttony of Elements was not causing healing from elemental damage over time taken. The Blood of the Karuris recover full life at the end of the Flask effect was not recovering energy shield when you had the Supreme Decadence Keystone passive skill allocated. Players using Ichimonchi were able to gain Onslaught from allies with Radiant Crusade allocate. Skill effect duration modifiers from passive skills weren't affecting the duration of the Feeding Frenzy buff on players. The Snipe skill granted by the Assailum unique helmet was missing the physical tag. Battle Mage's Cry was missing the trigger tag. Fixed a bug where the description for the increased map drop chance stat was incorrectly described as more. It is now described as increased maps found in area. This is not a functional change. Cyrus, Awakener of Worlds, would only fire projectiles on one side for his corridor skill. The Infinite Hunger could sometimes use skills while they were still submerged. I was the victim of that many times. The Shaper's Beam could be invisible if you left the area and returned, such as from dying. Some bosses, most notably the Elder, could not be killed if the player had a stat that caused a percentage of damage dealt to be leached by the enemy as life. Just a bug where areas open from Chayula, Unatal, and Zoth breach zones did not have the additional random modifiers they should have had. Innocence's Beam debuff could continue to affect you well beyond that skill's range if performed in an in-area transition while being hit by the beam. The Meteor Impact from the Altar modifier that creates a meteor on flask use was dealing more damage than intended to minions. Bone Armor, when granted by the Bone Barrier, Ascendancy passive through Forbidden Flame, and Forbidden Flesh could be unbound from your skill bar when bound to left click upon entering an instance. Tailoring orbs were able to modify fixed sockets on items, such as Skin of the Loyal. Tailoring orbs can no longer be used on items with fixed sockets. Alluring Valsire areas with an area level of 69 could not drop mortal fragments. Nice. Essences of Zeal still had a modifier listed under Other Jewelry, despite having specific modifiers for each jewelry class. Fundamental Fossils had a higher cost in Nico's shop than intended. Older version of Spike Point Quiver was offered as a quest reward for the Storm Blade quest. Changing the settings of the unique section of the map stash tab would also affect the Guardian section of the map stash tab, and vice versa. Some debuffs, such as the Infinite Hungers and the Eater of Worlds Drowning debuffs, were using the same debuff art as common dispellable debuffs. The Barrows map boss was missing audio for their charge skill. Orb of Storms did not describe that it would strike every 0.50 seconds while channeling a lightning skill near the orb. This is non-functional. Fix a bug where strike skills target additional enemies could be displayed in non-strike melee skill descriptions. Visual bug where using lightning strike while affected by Cat's stealth would cause blue flashes. It was possible to die in your hideout by being linked to a minion when the minion expired. Some boss dialogue and heist enemy dialogue was failing to play or just being cut off early. The Arcane Tome microtransaction did not have summon audio when applied to a Ballista Totem. Large numbers of spark projectiles with the Spiders microtransaction applied could cause monsters to teeth pose. Aww, I miss that. I love watching streamers make monsters T-pose. It was possible to vendor 5 inscribed ultimatums for a new inscribed ultimatum in Standard. Fixed a bug where the primeval power source hideout decoration could affect the environmental state of hideouts other than the primeval hideout. The Tempest Shield could be disabled when entering a town or hideout with an Arachnomorph pet microtransaction equipped. The Revelation Blade MTX did not look correct when using low water detail. The Circling Vulture pet could disappear when interrogating, releasing, or bargaining with a Betrayal Syndicate member that you have marked. The Divergence character effect was not functioning correctly when you had the Cat's stealth buff. Fixed a wonky interaction between Madcap Phase Run and the Storm Strider Boots microtransactions. Fixed a wonky visual interaction between the Scourge Lord Weapon Skin microtransaction and Mirage Arch. Fixed a bug where transforming from or into an Arachnomorph pet while Molten Shell was active would leave lingering Molten Shell visuals. Fixed a bug where the Nexus Flask effect microtransactions did not play their effect when applied to instant recovery flasks. Equipping the Vampiric Body Armor microtransaction could cause your character's forearms to be visible. The alternate bleed effect applied by the Blood-Soaked Torturer's Gloves MTX did not appear correctly on very large monsters. There's a client crash that could occur on AMD integrated GPUs when using Vulkan. Another client crash caused by having a footprint effect applied to the alternate Arc Demigod Stride boots, and fixed a client crash that could occur in DirectX 12. We really hope you enjoy Path of Exile: The Forbidden Sanctum. Thank you for your support. Alright, that's it. So, much love. Stay sexy. Although you guys are going to enjoy the league, I fucking know that I'm very, very likely to enjoy it myself. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna send you over to Ari Arikitsuka. Wait, is that the person that rated me earlier? No, that's gonna be Infinity. We're gonna send you over to Ari Kitsuka. So yeah. Much love, stay sexy. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut this off of the stream, and I'm going to put that on the YouTube channel for you guys to enjoy. Alright, so much love, stay sexy. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now.